British Airways Business Class. Oh boy, buckle up. This one is gonna be quite the doozy. How does one even describe British Airways? A 2 out of 10. A low-cost carrier. A level I never expected British Airways to be. Those aren't my words, but the words of Qatar's CEO Al Bakr, who is the current head of the One World Alliance. Qatar owns 25% of British Airways. So if that's what their supposed friends say, what's it like as a passenger? I haven't flown British Airways for years, and never before on this channel, for two simple reasons. First, the taxes and fees on award tickets are simply horrific. A simple round trip to London will cost an obscene amount of money for a supposedly free ticket.
What did it cost?
Everything.
Second, British Airways Business Class has been the laughingstock of the world. The seats simply aren't competitive. They are cramped like sardines with no privacy. So then, why the heck would I ever want to fly British Airways, when on award tickets, I'm paying more money for an inferior product? I wouldn't, so I haven't. But I finally found solutions for both problems. I reduced the out-of-pocket costs by flying out of the Scottish Highlands, which are exempt from the UK passenger duty tax, and booked a flight in the brand new club suites. So I finally gave British Airways a shot. What's it like to fly in British Airways Business Class Club World? Let's find out on this flight from London to Chicago. Before I can even begin, I need to disclose something. Did you know you're not allowed to criticize British Airways? Really, you can't. Per their 2020 terms of service, they can close your Avios account if you engage in any conduct which causes, is intended to cause, or is likely to cause a detrimental effect or reflects unfavorably on the reputation of British Airways or any aspect of its business, brands, products, or services.
You serious?
So if the plane is late, your seat broken, don't like the food, you're risking them terminating your Avios account. I like using Avios. It makes you wonder if your favorite named travel blogger with an expression suggesting severe indigestion in their thumbnails is actually being honest when reviewing British Airways. Just putting that out there. Because, spoilers, I most certainly will be making some statements that reflect unfavorably on the reputation of British Airways, because they deserve it. Bring it on. Let's start with avoiding the horrific taxes and fees when flying British Airways. Don't fly British Airways to the UK. Period. Only from Hong Kong is the exception. Otherwise, you're looking at over $700 in taxes and fees if you go anywhere near Heathrow on British Airways. One way. Flying back out of the UK is slightly better, but it's still over $670. One way. Please don't do that.
So remember, don't, or else. Okay?
If you fly British Airways from elsewhere in Europe, it's under $400. Still hurts, but it's more manageable. But if you want to leave from the UK, there's a secret. The Scottish Highlands are exempt from the UK passenger duty. The lowlands, like Glasgow and Edinburgh, are still subject to the tax, but Inverness isn't. So that's why I booked my ticket from there. I ended up paying 57,500 American Airlines miles and $390 in taxes and fees. Still not great, but with KLM Air France, charges are usually over $300, so it's not that much worse. What about the seats? Well, British Airways has debuted a new club suite with a door that looks glorious. Then there are the older seats that are not. So what planes have the new seats? You need to be careful. The A350s and 787-10s have it. Some of the 777s do. Supposedly, they try and ensure that the New York flights have it. The 787-9, -8, and the A380s do not. You can't just book a ticket willy-nilly.
What about that ship?
That was garbage!
The day I had booked, there were 2 flights to Chicago, an A350 and a 787-10. Both had the new seats. Fantastic! There's no way this could possibly go wrong. I went to go book a window seat on the website, but they wanted 110 British pounds to select your seat. In business class. 110 pounds! Are you out of your mind? I can only think of one thing to say.
Sheer fucking hubris.
Sorry, I'm not paying that. The day before my flight, I checked the seat map again, and
What the hell is even that?
my beautiful 787-10 had been changed for a -9. Just a single number change means so much. So I guess
The garbage will do!
24 hours before my flight, I went to check in and select my seat. I was taking a ferry off the coast of Scotland at the time, but because I was flying to the US, I needed to upload my COVID test through Verifly, which I couldn't do, cause I was on a boat. I took my test in Inverness, uploaded the results, but British Airways never got them for whatever reason, so I couldn't check in till the day of my flight. I prefer window seats over aisles. I dislike bulkheads. When I went to check in, there was only a single seat left, and you can guess what it was. 10B, the aisle bulkhead. I arrived in Heathrow for my Inverness flight and made my way to the South Lounge. The first class lounge is on the first floor, while the business class lounge is on the second floor. The lounge is quite large, but also was packed. There are some large tables with water at the front, but I needed to go hunting for a seat in the back. There are several self-serve alcohol stations with a solid selection. Wi-Fi existed, but was near unusable. You'll still want to connect though, as post-COVID, you now order food via a QR code and they bring it to your table. I ordered the tea sandwiches and the cake of the day, with enough Coke Zero and Johnny Walker Black Label to wash it down. I mean, it was fine, but this isn't anything like a lounge in Asia or a Polaris lounge or even an Admiral's flagship lounge. There are individual bathroom stalls though, which is nice. Also, any idea who this might be? Why don't I travel with an attendant, Dolce & Gabbana jammies, and a bejeweled staff? In typical European fashion, they don't post the gate for a while, which I hate. My gate was in the B concourse, so as soon as it was posted, I went down to take the train over there. There's a perfectly fine lounge over there as well that wasn't crowded at all, and I would have been happy to go there if I'd known my gate was nearby. Still, it's nice to sip champagne above it all, much better than being in the gate area. Unfortunately, I couldn't stay long as the plane soon boarded, and I braced for perhaps the oddest business class seat in existence. So yeah, I've got this very strange seat right here. Beyond zero privacy. I feel like I'm naked and on display here. Rather than a 1-2-1 like most airlines, or even the much derided Lufthansa 2-2-2, British Airways' older business class is in a 2-3-2 layout. You don't need to have a math or engineering degree to realize that having 7 people across instead of 4 is worse. The footrest is folded up and can only be used when you make the seat flat. There's a storage bin by your feet for small items along with power and USB. There's another USB by the remote and headphones near you. There isn't an easy place for your glasses, so I had to put them in my shoes in the larger compartment. Seat controls are, well, actually, my seat was broken and didn't recline at all automatically. Anytime I wanted it adjusted, it took 2 cabin crew and a lot of pushing. The ceiling panel in front of me was falling off. The air slits were filthy. The floor was coming up. The interior is simply falling apart. Plus, there's no individual air vents. Heck, I reviewed a 9-seat aircraft that had that. The honest thing is the alternating backwards and forward seats. The good news is that there's a privacy divider if you don't know each other. The bad news is that for taxi, takeoff, descent, and landing, it needs to be lowered, so you get to longingly stare into a stranger's eyes. It's awkward trying to avoid a person's gaze for 30 minutes. If I were a solo woman traveler, I definitely wouldn't want these seats. It's just really creepy. We were offered pre-poured champagne or orange juice. This was also my very first mask-free flight, so it felt quite different. I was looking forward to the British Airways safety video. There's tons of celebrity cameos. Except, they gave a manual one. Why? We all have screens here. Very curious for such a flagship global business class experience to have a manual demonstration. We taxied out, and I tried to film the takeoff as best I could from the aisle. Flying time was 8 hours and 40 minutes at 32,000 feet. The amenity kit was passed out, which was pretty basic but had an unbranded pen. Products were from the White Company with a toothbrush, earplugs, socks, eye shade, and basic bombs. I began with a Singleton 12-year-old single malt served with roasted spice nuts. I was offered a refill, but I was given quite a heavy pour to begin with. For mains, there was a choice of roasted lamb, fish pie, or ricotta mezzaluna. I went for the roasted lamb and a Johnny Ginger cocktail. The edamame and avocado thing was quite good. The bread was warm and served with butter. The lamb was actually quite delicious, being moist and tender, with soft veggies, potatoes, and a tasty sauce. If only there were a bit more of it.
Where's the lamb sauce?
The cheese course was cheese, but the traditional Italian tiramisu was quite excellent, and I finished the whole thing. Do note that the traditional Italian tiramisu was flagged as a signature British dish. Oh, really there? I have a feeling that my Italian friends might take a bit of an issue with that. With the assistance of 2 cabin crew pushing the seat, I reclined into bed mode. Many complain about the size of footwells in business class. Well, lucky for you, there is no footwell, as I'm right here in the open. The bedding included a mattress pad, blanket, and pillow. All were pretty comfortable. The seat was also well padded. I slept for several hours, though kept getting woken up by people hitting my feet when walking through the aisle. After a nap, I needed help raising the seat, though it only took one extra person this time. I should point out here that the crew was great, friendly, and proactive, and I felt terrible inconveniencing them, but I needed to raise the seat. The in-flight entertainment is on an older style folding screen. The selection was decent enough, but I didn't watch anything or use the headphones, which didn't seem that great. The moving map is quite dated and slow, but still very functional. For a pre-arrival meal, there was a choice of avocado toast or a Scotch egg. I just couldn't, and was simply too stuffed. Both did look good though. We began our descent into Chicago through the clouds. We only got the briefest glimpse of the skyline before touching down. We taxied to Terminal 5, and I was actually able to take the people mover between terminals for the first time. Hallelujah! So, British Airways Club World Business Class. The lounge was decent, the crew friendly, and the food, catered by Doe & Co., was quite excellent. I really did enjoy this flight. But do I recommend that you take it? No, I can't do that. With a dilapidated interior, broken seat, and such an uncompetitive product, how could I in good conscience? Perhaps the new suites are great. I would have loved to try them. But how else can I conclude this review other than in disappointment? I mean, it's better than Lufthansa, though that's not saying much. It's just too much of a risk if you don't get the new seats. I waited 6 years after Polaris launched to fly it to ensure I actually got what I paid for, and I'm afraid I'll need to do the same thing for British Airways moving forward. So once the new seats are reliably flying on the vast majority of routes, I'll try it again. I really wanted to like it, but for now, British Airways Business Class, this is it. Thanks for watching this review, and be sure to check out the rest of the trip on the playlist. If you like this video, click that button and please subscribe for many more flight reviews to come. I'll see you next time on the next trip, where I return to Europe yet again, to where all the roads